For centuries, scattered across continents and empires, whispers have risen like smoke about certain families, names woven into capital cities, engraved onto old bank ledgers, etched into cathedral walls. Their histories are real enough, but the stories told about them have long slipped beyond the boundaries of documented fact. Among researchers, these tales are known collectively as the Shadow Archive, a compendium of myths claiming that a select group of bloodlines quietly shape the tides of world events. Whether born from fear, admiration, or the human instinct to explain the inexplicable, these narratives have become the folklore of power itself. What follows is the historian's retelling of these legends, not as truth, but as the stories people have believed. The Astor, Rockefeller, and Reynolds bloodlines. It begins in the counting houses of the early American Republic, where the Astors rose from fur-trading magnates to icons of wealth. Legends say they understood the continent before anyone else, its forests, its supply lines, its secret rivers of commerce. Then came the Rockefellers, masters of oil, spoken of in the archive as builders of the Black Empire. Their refineries lit cities, sparked labor movements, and created industries larger than nations. The Reynolds family, born of tobacco fortunes, appears in the tales as lords of smoke, shaping the habits and health of generations. Rothschild, Medici, Este, Farnese, Gaetani, Aldobrandini. Crossing the Atlantic, the archive dives deeper into the vaults of Europe, where older families cast longer shadows. The Rothschilds, bankers to monarchs, are portrayed in myth as alchemists of finance, turning debts into dominions. The Medici, patrons of the Renaissance, appear half historical, half magical, architects of art, science, and intrigue. The Este, Farnese, Gaetani, and Aldobrandini families populate the chapters of papal courts and warring city-states. Their power was real, their intrigues legendary, and their stories stretched by centuries of retelling. In the archive, these families are not puppet masters. They are symbols of an age when bloodline meant survival, and alliances were struck with marriages as sharp as swords. The Kennedys, Bundys, and DuPonts. The 20th century offered, a new canvas for old myths. The Kennedys, a family of charm, tragedy, and political gravitas, became the American royalty of conspiracy lore. Their story is so dramatic that, honestly, fiction and fact often blur. The DuPonts, stewards of chemistry and industry, feature as the engineers, credited in legend with powering the machinery of modernity. The name Bundy appears in some accounts not for its history, but for its phonetic fit. A reminder that myths often choose their own cast regardless of historical accuracy. From China comes the legend of the Li family, tied across centuries to scholars, emperors, and revolutionaries. In the archives telling, the Lis represent continuity, an unbroken thread through dynasties, wars, and reforms. Their story reflects something universal. Every culture imagines a lineage that endures while empires rise and fall. When the archive reaches Rome, fiction and history blend into operatic grandeur. The Orsini and Colonna were real rivals who shaped the politics of popes and princes. The Conti, Chigi, Pamphili, and Farnese each produced influential clerics and leaders during the height of ecclesiastical power. Their presence in legends reflects a time when the Vatican was not merely a religious institution, but a geopolitical engine. Some families, Breakspear, Somaglia, Borja, are remembered through scandals, reforms, or dramatized tales of papal intrigue. The Van Dyne family, though less historically prominent, enters the archive perhaps through misinterpretation, another example of how myth tends to expand its own cast. A historian knows that the world is not ruled by secret councils or eternal dynasties. Power today is diffuse, bureaucratic, and rarely glamorous. But people continue to tell these stories because they offer something history books do not: a sense of order and chaos, faces behind faceless systems, narratives to explain the inexplicable. The archive, mythical though it is, reveals more about human psychology than about any true ruling families. We invent stories about power because power itself is elusive.